Welcome to Hypr Community. Hypr Community is a social learning network. It brings together the power and convenience of social media and superimposes it onto a learning management system. For most of you, it will be easy to recognize how similar the community's features are to your favorite social media sites. Except, we have dedicated this website to facilitate learning in a comfortable and familiar setting. Standard features of Hypr Community include posting to your timeline, private messaging, following other users, and connecting. Users will be able to create private and public groups and forums to join others that match their individual goals for connectivity and learning. We are excited to be partnering with faculties, consultants, residents, doctors, and other professionals to bring you groups and live topical forums that provide rich content that are moderated by the best in each field, providing second-to-none information for your benefit. Hypr Community will foster networking that will bring together faculties, local students, regional students, and professionals onto a platform dedicated solely to your success. Best of all, it is free for all students. Go now to www.hyprcommunity.com and sign up today. Hypr Community. Learn, grow together. Hypr Community is brought to you by Hypr Academics Jamaica Limited. Welcome to Hypr Community. Hypr Community is a social learning network. It brings together the power and convenience of social media and superimposes it onto a learning management system. For most of you, it will be easy to recognize how similar the community's features are to your favorite social media sites. Except, we have dedicated this website to facilitate learning in a comfortable and familiar setting. Standard features of Hypr Community include posting to your timeline, private messaging, following other users, and connecting. Users will be able to create private and public groups and forums to join others that match their individual goals for connectivity and learning. We are excited to be partnering with faculties, consultants, residents, doctors, and other professionals to bring you groups and live topical forums that provide rich content that are moderated by the best in each field, providing second-to-none information for your benefit. Hypr Community will foster networking that will bring together faculties, local students, regional students, and professionals onto a platform dedicated solely to your success. Best of all, it is free for all students. Go now to www.hyprcommunity.com and sign up today. Hypr Community. Learn, grow together.
Hi guys, good afternoon and welcome to this wrap session by Hypr Academics Jamaica Limited. We are excited to have you here. We are glad that you are here. We know that many people will be joining as we go along, as well as others who would have decided that they will look at the recording. So for those of us who are here, we are excited to have you. And we just want you to put in the comment section on YouTube which country you're coming from. We know that all of you should be following from the Mona campus, but we want to know what country you're coming from. So just putting it in the WhatsApp, in the YouTube chat, a flag emoji of your country, whether it's Jamaica, Guyana, Trinidad, St. Vincent. Let us know. We want to know where you are coming from. We want to welcome you to this our WAP session. It is a tradition of Hypr Academics. At the beginning of every semester, we have a session where we just be honest with the students. We let you know what to expect in the semester for all of the courses that will be offered for your year. We let you know exactly how we navigated it, because most of us here have been students. All of us have been in your shoes exactly, and so we want you to know how we navigated that space. And then we also want to inform you of what Hypr Academics has in store for you. Okay, so welcome, and we are extremely happy to have you.
So welcome, guys. So welcome again, guys. I must extend how happy it is that I am to have you guys here. You may have been already introduced to me several times. I'm Xavier Brown, a year 4 medical student here at the University of the West Indies, as well as a senior tutor with Hypr Academics, as well as a director and many other things. So what I'm going to just quickly break down for you guys is an outline of the program for today. So it's a very short program. It's not going to be very long. We just want to get to the point of it, to give the best advice to you guys so that you can get straight A's, do as best as you can this semester. So we're going to actually begin with a message from the managing director we just met, Devon Malcolm Brewster. And then you're going to meet with me again, Simon Scully, as well as Kyra Simpson, as we break down step by step each course that you're going to be doing this semester. So we begin with embryology, then we'll move to FDT, then we move to molecular medicine, and then we have final messages for the locomotor system. From there, we'll then play some little recordings from students from the previous year who have just stepped up to year 2 to give you a bit of some information as to how it is that they were able to actually maneuver the year. And then you'll be introduced to the Hypr formula, and we will have a little question session towards the end. So Devon.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Xavier. Good afternoon again to everyone. I had to step in earlier on to welcome you since Xavier had a little technical difficulty. But once again, on behalf of the Board of Management and the administrative team and all of our tutors here at Hypr Academics, I want to welcome you to this our WAP session. As I said earlier on, it is a tradition of Hypr Academics to hold these discussions at the beginning of the semester so that we can welcome you, we can introduce you to what to expect, we can introduce you based on our own experience when we were in your exact shoes. And that's exactly what we plan to do this evening. It is my hope, and as managing director, that every single person who looks at this WAP session can find something beneficial, something that they can take back with them as they go. You go back, you seek to plan how you're going to approach the semester, how you're going to study, what resources you're going to use. We want to ensure that you find something in this experience that is going to help you, that is going to cause you to be more motivated to do your best, and to ensure that all that you do will lead to the ultimate goal, which is to ensure that you can have a successful semester, a semester that is, perhaps it won't be free of stress. And I think anybody who seeks to suggest to you that it will be free of stress is probably lying to you. It will have stresses, it will have its complication. There will be moments where you're going to be sad. There are going to be moments where you're going to feel like you're caving under the pressure. But regardless of that, you have to hold on strong, my students. You have to hold on strong because all of us are here because we have the ability to do just what we are called here to do. So since we have that innate ability, we must just give our all, do our best, and trust that everything is going to be okay. But remember, it's not going to fall from the sky. The A plus is not going to magically drop and just drop into your lap. No, it has to be a product of your intentional hard work. And that's what we at Hypr are here to do, to help you to cross that finish line at the end of the semester, knowing fully well that you have done your best, you have put in your all, and you have ensured that you have utilized all the resources that's going to get you where you want to be. So thank you very much. And we're going to move on swiftly with the program, and I'm going to hand back to Xavier, who is going to lead us and the other tutors into what to expect from each of the courses.
Hey guys, so how are you doing? So we're going to, as I said before, we're just going to have a little chat, right? I'm actually monitoring what you guys are saying in the YouTube chat. So if you want to send any messages, I'm definitely seeing them. So I'm going to discuss with you guys embryology. And oddly enough, I don't know how much exposure you guys have had to embryology in this first week, but most definitely within this coming week, starting tomorrow, you should be getting some exposure. Now, embryology was actually one of my favorite courses in year one. For the sake of it, it was just interesting to me, right? The mistake that many students actually make when it is that they're tackling embryology is that they don't really know what resources per se to use. So they end up being confused by what is given to them by the actual lecturer, who's actually my favorite lecturer. Big up Dr. Thomas. And confusing it with the different texts that are available. And they're basically going all over the place, right? And because of how embryology is set up, you actually finish embryology much earlier and early into the semester compared to the other courses. So you can expect that you'll be wrapping up embryology when it is that you're really getting deep into courses like FDT, as well as Mon Med. So and even locomotor. So the key to doing well in embryology is to have this handy textbook with you. Now, you don't have to have a hard copy. There are actually soft copies available. So this is the Langman's Medical Embryology. Now, you see from this textbook, this is, and I'm talking about the embryology aspect of it. I'll come to the histology. This embryology textbook is what the exam is actually set from. The purpose of your lecturer in embryology is to allow you to garner some interest within the course. It does not mean particularly that his lecture is going to be like spoon feeding you. So I believe that the first time he has met with you, if he hasn't met with you already, he would tell you that the chapters to focus on would actually be the first up to the 9th chapter. So you have to be very strategic with your learning. Obviously, you can't read all 9 chapters in a week, right? But of course, you have September, October, November, and a bit of December to break down those 9 chapters. And the key thing to note, which I found actually made me very successful in this course, that was actually my highest score that semester, is to ensure that as you read the chapters, you're actually reviewing what you did previously. Because you can't really understand what's going on in embryology, given that you're starting from a sperm and an egg to an entire fetus without understanding what happened previously. So yes, you've read chapter 1, you've understood it, yes, and you may have taken like 2 days off. You need to now start chapter 2, right? If you don't remember what's in chapter 1, it makes no sense to start chapter 2. The next thing that's important is to pretty much make use of as many video resources as possible, and whichever tutoring services or whoever, because in truth, there are portions of embryology, the most difficult portions of embryology is where it is that spatial reasoning and understanding actually comes into play. And you realize it as you start reading the book and it starts talking about stuff like folding, the folding of the embryo, the formation of the diaphragm, the formation of the gut tube, it can really throw you off because you realize that the embryo is very complex. So there are a lot of things going on all at once. So it's really for you to structure your reading, use as many resources as possible, largely videos. You want to really and truly use videos. If it is that you have persons who understand it better, allow them to explain it to you. Now, how it is that the embryology course is broken down is that you have a long paper to do. I actually don't remember how many questions. I think it was like 50 questions to do in like an hour. I don't remember. I'm way past that time, right? And as I said before, that is coming directly from this book. I had finished reading this book. The first 9 chapters, really just getting the main essence of it by, I believe, like November. And by the week or so before the exam, I just took up the book because I already understood the chapters and just started rereading it. And when I went into the exam, you know, those finer details like dates and all of those things that I literally read the day before, they were coming back, right? And it was all because I understood the stuff previously. So you have a multiple choice exam to do. The next thing you have to do is a spotter. Now, the important thing about the spotter is that there are key things in the book that you'll pick up. Now, there are little blue sections in this book like this. They're colored like this, and they're called clinical correlates. It's very important that before the spotter, you actually look at those sections. You may not have to read it when it is that you're reading just for the multiple choice, but at least look at the pictures from those clinical correlates, because those are the things that are going to come on your spotter. And remember, your spotter is a timed exam. It can show you a picture of a baby with like fetal alcoholic syndrome. And if you haven't seen it before, you won't know. It can show you a child with spina bifida. If you haven't seen it before, you won't know. So you must really be able to look at different pictures from this same textbook, because this is exactly where they take it from, and be able to be very much successful in this exam. Histology, I know there's a textbook, it's called De Forest Histology or something like that. Personally, I didn't read it. If you have the luxury of time to read many books, that's up to you. I did not have that. So the histology answers to your exam and in preparing for that histology exam is really just to use Prof. Lou's slides. Everything is there. Attend the lectures, make notes from the lectures. Always, when it is that you go through lectures, don't try to swap from the slides. Sit down with the slides after the lecture and write down what you understand after every lecture within close proximity to that lecture. And you'll find that the exam is very easy. Trust me, once you're prepared, once you've approached embryology and histology strategically, you know, limit yourself to the resources that you have. So I'm going to be using Prof. Lou's histology slides. I'm going to be using this textbook, and this is the major challenge, being able to read this textbook. You'll perform excellent, right? You can get 100% on this exam. Take that from me. So that's it from me for embryology and histology. I'm now going to invite Simon Scully, a second-year medical student, very bright fellow, to speak to you on fundamentals of disease and treatment.
Hey guys, I hope you're all doing okay. I hope you still remember me from the US sessions, but if you forgot, once again, my name is Simon Scully, and I am also a Hypr academics tutor in addition to the US Vice President. I hope your first week was fun, because I promise you next week won't be as fun. You'll be starting some serious work next week in FDT and especially embryo. So I hope you guys are seriously ready for that. So today I'm going to briefly speak about FDT and how it's sectioned. And Kyra Simpson will come after me. She'll be speaking a little bit about molecular medicine. So FDT, or Fundamentals of Disease and Treatment, is divided into 3 sections, guys. You have your microbiology, you have your pathology, and you have your pharmacology. Now, microbiology vaguely speaks on the pathogens that cause disease. Then you have your pathology, which basically refers to how the disease manifests in the body. And then you have your pharmacology, which refers to how you can treat the disease. That's why the course is called Fundamentals of Disease and Treatment. They basically go through the course stepwise like a story to show you how the disease manifests and how you can treat it. So FDT was my favorite course in first year, and it's definitely one of your most fun courses because of how diverse it is, but it's also very challenging in the fact that it has a lot of content, lots and lots of content. You're going to start FDT early and you're going to end it very, very late, unlike courses like Embryology, that where you start it early and you end up finishing it in the first month. FDT is not like that at all. It has a lot of content, so you're going to be doing it throughout the entire semester. It's a 6-credit course, guys. 6 credits, unlike embryo and histo, which are like 3 credits, 2 credits, anatomy. 6 credit means that it has a lot of weighting on your GPA. So the grade you get for FDT will really affect your overall GPA. The exam will consist of a long paper, MCQ, which has around 100 questions, and you have your spotter after that, which would consist around 25 questions. The long paper is mostly on the content that they teach you in pathology and pharmacology, while the spotter will mostly be on your microbiology content. Quickly, pharmacology can also be divided into 3 more sections, where you have your pharmacodynamics, you have your pharmacokinetics, and then you have just your basic drugs. Pharmacodynamics basically means what the drug does to the body. And you'll go into more details about the different mechanisms of how the drug actually interacts with the cells. And then you have your pharmacokinetics, which deals with how the body metabolizes or absorbs the drug, right? And then finally, the drug section, you mainly go into your antifungal drugs, your antiviral drugs, your anti-neoplastic or anti-cancer drugs. Like, how are you going to treat a patient if you don't understand how the drug works, your pharmacodynamics? How are you going to know how much drug to administer if you don't know how the body destroys it? That's your pharmacokinetics. All of these concepts are vital to becoming a great doctor. They'll give you a lot of drugs to memorize, so it's best that you take it section by section. You have some great profs like Dr. Williams and Dr. Singh, who will really go into more detail on that. Next, we have pathology. Pathology is one of the most important parts of first year. It's so fundamental to medicine. So if you fail to understand it in first year, I'm sure you can guess how the rest of your 5-year experience will be. Pathology, again, very important. It was my most fun section, my most loved section, just because it's so diverse. You begin talking about topics on cytogenetics, and then you go into how the immune response is illustrated in the body, and then you go on to talk about inflammation, your acute and chronic inflammation, a little bit on neoplasia towards the end, and then finally you go into the proteins in the blood, which we were going to have sessions on all of those sections, so it's in your best interest to really attend those sections because we will definitely break it down step by step. Finally, we have microbiology. Tough. You must attend the session in class, especially the tutorial sessions after class will show you the pictures of the specimen. Remember, this content will be mostly tested on your spotter, so you have to know your pictures. They'll throw a lot of information at you, so brace yourself and try to best identify the high yield content that you think they'll show you on the test. So for pharmacology, the textbook that you will be going to a lot is like your Rang and Dale and your Cat Sum. Those are important textbooks. For pathology, it would be Pathoma. That's what I use personally to understand a little bit more after the lectures. And then you have your microbiology textbook, which I actually can't remember the name right now, but I will definitely send to the group later. So for all 3 components of FDT, it is important that you do these things that I'm about to list. 1, pre-read the slides before class. Now, every day you have like 4 different classes. In the afternoons, it would be in your best interest to really skim through those slides the day before, guys. I'm telling you, because you don't want to end up in a situation where you go into a class and the teacher is moving through 80 slides, 100 slides so fast at the speed of light. You miss one word that he says, you get confused, all of a sudden he's at the end and you didn't really understand what's going on. It's best if you pre-read the slides the day before, skim it. You don't have to go in detail. Just write down, okay, he's going to talk about this in the beginning, this in the middle, this in the end. and I kind of understand, okay, he's going to do this, X, Y, Z. It's also important that you understand the content and you don't swat it. Memorizing comes later, remember. FDT is huge, huge, huge. So a lot of the students, the mistake they make is that they say, okay, I'm just going to study pathology and then walk into the test knowing a little bit of the pharmacology. Or I'm just going to study a lot of the pharmacology and study a little bit of the pathology. But you never know what your test will emphasize on. So my test had it was like 50-50, the long paper, where you had a little bit of pharm, a little bit of path. But the year before had a lot of pathology. So if you go into if you end up in a situation where you have to choose one, you see how you can get messed up on the test. So it's important that you understand, try to start from early and understand all the content so that when it comes to exam time, you just kind of get to skim through the content really quickly. It's important that you use the appropriate resources, the appropriate textbook resources, if you want to clear anything up after a lecture. So the teachers, again, they have lots of students, they have limited time. They can't explain everything. So you have to go to YouTube, you have to go to your textbooks, your Rangendale, your Pathoma, your physiology textbooks. Definitely try and clear things up there because you'll definitely get stuck, and that's the best place to go. After class, what I did a lot of the time is I made summary sheets, where if you had a lecture with 50, 80 slides, I'd make 1-2-page summary sheets highlighting the important things. And every day you go through all the sheets you made. So you can have 5 different lectures with tons of slides, but you only have 5 summary sheets, which you can skim. So by the time exam time comes, you guys remember everything. You feel me? Past paper questions, finally. Past paper questions, so important. If you can know all the information in the world, but not know how to apply it, then you're gonna end up in problems. It's important that you practice a lot of questions that the teachers give you or other resources that we'll show you. So where does Hypr come in all this? So during the Hypr classes, we'll take the time to help you understand the content and avoid memorizing. I hate memorizing personally. The teachers tend to stress memorizing sometimes, and they don't go into the understanding component that you really need if you want to do well in FDT. Again, I always tell you the FDT content is large, so you definitely want to avoid swatting. In the Hypr sessions, we'll also show you the high yield content that tend to come back over and over every year. We'll also go over commonly asked questions after teaching a lesson. So a lesson will, in the first maybe 15-30 minutes, we teach you a little bit on the content of or the topic that we're doing. And then after that, we'd go into the questions that you'd most likely see pop up. I personally will be mainly teaching pathology and pharmacology and MoMed, along with Kyra. Xavier is gonna handle your embryo section. If you guys attend our sessions, I promise you'll not only leave the session understanding, but you'll also know how to answer all the relevant questions. I love to break things down to the grade 1 level so everyone can understand. And again, if you have questions after, you can be sure to message me. Kyra, Xavier, and I have all gotten all A's and A+, so we know the best route, and we're willing to show you step by step in each Hypr class. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kyra. I'm a second-year medical student, and I'm going to be talking about molecular medicine today. Molecular medicine is simply molecular biology. You're going to be dealing with your nucleic acids, your DNA, your RNA structures. You're going to be dealing with manipulation techniques, how to isolate DNA, how to manipulate DNA, as I said before. We're going to be also looking at some principles in molecular biology. So how to approach this course. This course is not your heaviest course. Your heaviest course, as Simon said, would be FDT. Molecular medicine is only a 2-credit course. So you want to ensure that you balance and manage your time wisely with molecular medicine. With molecular medicine, you're going to be starting lectures soon, and it ends pretty early in the early part of November. So you want to ensure that for molecular medicine, how I approached this course was that I had to pre-read for the lectures. So you need to ensure that you pre-read for the lectures, so when you go into class, you're not lost, right? Also, after each lecture for the day, my best advice to year one students would be to sit down after class. You need to spend at least 2 to 3 hours reviewing the lectures that you were taught for that day. With molecular medicine, you'll be taught some principles, some techniques that if you're coming from high school are a little bit more in depth than your regular biology that you were taught. So you're going to need to spend some time understanding the concepts that they're going to be teaching you in molecular medicine. With molecular medicine, the lecture slides are pretty detailed. You don't have to use a textbook. I didn't use a textbook for molecular medicine. It was pretty detailed, especially the first few lectures on nucleotide synthesis. They were pretty detailed, right? So you can just use the lecture slides to understand the content at first, to read it, to go through it, right, after class. The next thing I would say for molecular medicine is watch YouTube videos. Use YouTube videos to supplement while reading. These YouTube videos will help you to understand the techniques, how PCR is done, how to manipulate the DNA, the use of restriction enzymes. You'll definitely need to use YouTube videos to help to understand the content, because we don't want to SWOT, we want to understand the content. I have a YouTube channel that I used last year and it was really, really helpful. It's Shomu's Biology. His videos are pretty long, but once you sacrifice the 30 minutes, you will understand the content, especially for DNA manipulation and genetics. You'll definitely understand the content. So using the YouTube videos and the lecture slides to help will definitely help you to understand the content for molecular medicine. Another thing I would say to you is to keep abreast of the information. Don't wait till November to run back through everything. Ensure that you review the content every single day. Review the content every single day and keep abreast. How did I take notes? For molecular medicine, I had a notebook, but you can also type your notes. So for molecular medicine, you would only write down the key details. So you already have the lecture slides. Write down the key details that you need, and when it's time for exam, when it's time to review, you review those key details. You have them highlighted in your notebook in order to deal with molecular medicine. On a whole, this course, as I said before, it's not going to be your heaviest course. So just balance your time wisely in dealing with molecular medicine. It's only 2 credits. So ensure that you manage your time wisely and you review the content every single day, especially on the weekends. I try to get in at least 2 to 3 hours a day. And on the weekends, try to rack in at least 6 hours reviewing your content. And you will definitely do well once you review the lecture slides, watch a couple of videos to understand the content, and you should be good in getting your A's, your A+ for this course. That's it. Thank you.
Hey guys, so I'm just going to have a short discussion with you guys with respect to locomotor system, and then I'm actually going to hand over to Simon since he's a bit fresher. So in truth, locomotor can stress you out. You've never, ever, unless it is that you've done a previous degree in anatomy or whatever the case may be, you've never been exposed to this amount of anatomy, especially if you're coming directly from high school. You may have been exposed to some amount of molecular medicine, bits of histo, bits of embryo, maybe year 2 CAPE, and some amount of FDT, you know, about neutrophils and stuff, right? But locomotor is definitely new. It is your first, it is your first taste of anatomy. Now, the way in which the locomotor system course is set up is that you are going to be introduced to the upper limb as well as the lower limb. So we're talking about from the pectoral girdle here, all the way across to the arm, down to the fingers. And then we're going to start from the hip. Well, your lecturers will start from the hip all the way down to your little toe. So you would actually be surprised how many muscles you have in that area, both your upper limb and your lower limb, nerves, arteries, veins, lymph nodes, all of those stuff. Now, what I can tell you guys is that the larger disadvantage that you guys may have is that you're going to have to be learning some of these stuff online. But there's so many online resources that allow you to spatially appreciate these structures and continuously review these structures that it really doesn't matter. So you have options with respect to the textbooks that you use. Now, my advice for locomotor system is definitely always to pre-read. Now, I prefer the lasts, and that's because I'm a bit more of a complex person and I like details. And details just help me, right? But you do have simpler texts, like I believe Singh's Anatomy, which can help you. You definitely may, you can use your Netter's Atlas as well to complement your learning. Now, why I tell you to pre-read is that, again, this is not something you've been exposed to before. So you need to be able to read these things before you go to the lecture so that you're not completely lost. So if you look on the timetable and it says breast, what you're going to do is that you're going to go on Google, or you can go on YouTube or whatever resources. You can use your Hypr resources and you look up breast, right? You then take up the textbook and you read it, and you need to be using pictures. You can't SWOT anatomy. You have to see it over and over and over again. So while you're reading, you're looking at the picture. All right, we're studying pectoral region today. These are the muscles that I'm being introduced to. Pectoralis major, minor, subclavius, all of those ones, supraspinatus. You need to be having your book with the picture. You can't SWOT origin, insertion, blood supply, nerve supply, right? Now, before I hand over to Simon, a good approach that I found helped me, especially the fact that even right now, I have to be remembering my locomotor anatomy. I just completed my orthopedic rotation. Was, for me, I found it easier to understand the nerve supply as well as the arterial supply and the venous supply to an area before I actually learned the structures in the area. So what that means is that before I even started going through the muscles per se, even though it should be pre-reading, before I started going through the muscles, I started learning about, so say we're doing the upper limb, I started learning about the brachial plexus first. And I understood in the pectoral region how it is that those nerves run in that area. So that when it is that we start superimposing the different muscles in the different areas, and I can see why, because that nerve is running very close to that muscle and whatever, I could see why exactly it is that that nerve decided to innervate that muscle, or why that artery, just because it's running right beside the muscle, why not just send off a branch to supply it? So you have to find these different ways to put things together. Locomotor is a mountain. You can't learn everything in one day. So as I said, before I hand over to Simon, ensure that you pre-read, ensure that you're using pictorial and video resources along with your textbook, and you must attend your tutorials. Those tutorials are very important. Those are the same specimens, some of the same specimens, some of the same questions that they'll ask on your exams. So Simon.
Hey guys, so just as Xavier said, all important points, starting with, so the musculoskeletal system, as you can tell from the name, you're studying the muscles and you're studying the skeletal system. So you're going to have to know your bones from the upper limb and your bones from the lower limb, muscles from the upper limb, muscles from the lower limb. Now, resources. Before we did a section in anatomy, I would always go to the Singh's book on the general anatomy. Vishram Singh, I think his name is. I can send it to the YouTube after. very, very best book ever to give you an introduction in anatomy, because there are books like Xavier said, Last Anatomy, that can be difficult in reading sometimes. And it will take you like a long time, an hour. Personally, it took me a long time to read just a couple pages. But using Singh's Anatomy, you get that introduction. Now, don't use Singh's Anatomy to study from. Use it to just get that introduction, because Singh's tend to miss a lot of information that you are getting tested on in the exam. Second thing, when you're tackling your musculoskeletal system, for me, the resource that I use the most after the books would definitely be the 3D Anatomy app, or you can access it also on your browser using the link. There's this 3D Anatomy Learning app. It's called 3D Anatomy Learning. I'm pretty sure you can access it on Google or in the App Store. You use that and you break down each section. So what I did, I'd like, say for example, open the app one day before the class, and I would study starting with the blood supply to the upper limb. I would start from the heart and go to your brachiocephalic trunk, and you have your blank. Study all the blood vessels going in a line. And then after that, I would go into studying all the nerve supplies, starting from the vertebrae all the way to your tips of your fingers. So now when you go to a class, right, they just start going through a muscle group and they start throwing names at you: scapular, subscapularis, pectoralis major, and they're just gonna start throwing the blood supply to those muscles. But it's so hard to memorize those little details if you don't know the whole story. If you had spent the time the day before class studying all the vessels leading from the heart all the way to the fingertips, studying the names of the entire channel, it would be much easier when the lecturers start teaching it in class and just throwing names at you that they expect you to know from a long time. Again, you guys saw me mention in the chat. I hope you enjoyed your class last Friday, because it will continue to be like that if you don't prepare for these classes. Don't bother, honestly, don't even bother showing up if you're not going to prepare, because they move at such a fast pace that you have to briefly know the general area before you attend the lecture. Hypr won't be having anatomy sessions solely because we expect you to attend your UWI sessions, which are offered free. And the UWI slides, I'm telling you, the UWI slides are gold. They're gold. They're exactly what will come back on your test. So UWI slides, the last textbook, and Singh's textbook to get your introduction, and then you have your 3D Anatomy app, your YouTube, all of that. You guys will be fine. But please attend your UWI sessions and read those UWI slides. Use that material to study in addition to the 3D apps. Go to UWI, yes.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. My mic was muted. Wonderful. So just want to thank our tutors for giving this wonderful breakdown of the different courses, how they approached it, including locomotor, which, as Simon said, we are not offering as a course throughout the semester, because we believe in the work that UWIS is doing, and we want you to join UWIS, because UWIS is the best place to be for anatomy. But at the end of the semester, remember your locomotor system exam has an MCQ component, and Hypr Academics will have a crash course to prepare for the end of semester MCQ. But when it comes to spotter, the best place for it to be is with UWIS. So without further ado, we're wrapping up. As we said, we're not keeping you too long. We don't want to go beyond about an hour and 5 minutes. We're going to go into the next aspect of this this wrap session, which is the Hypr formula. And so to kickstart the Hypr formula, there's a 4-minute video that we're going to play that explains everything. and then I'm going to come on to I suppose, dissect it just a little further and show you a few things. And then just before we end, we will have the tutors, if they need to mention anything particularly about how they plan to proceed in the semester, how they plan to structure everything to help you get on the right track, then they will come and do that. And then we'll wrap up with a 5-minute question and answer segment. So I just want to invite all of you, if you have your questions, ask them in the chat from now, so that when the time comes from the Q&A, we can just pull them up and everything is ready to go. Okay? Hey guys, it's your boy Malcolm from Hypr Academics, again, here to proudly announce our plans for this academic year. First up, Hypr Academics will not be tutoring this year. What? Hold up, not so fast. It's not quite like that. The current pandemic has changed a lot of things, and our medical education was not spared. Therefore, as the dynamic face of the pandemic and the medical education changes, so too must we demonstrate our malleability and our ability to evolve to solve emerging needs. In pursuit of that, we have, over the last few months, spent a great deal of time consulting with medical professionals, faculty, companies in other jurisdictions, and most importantly, many of you students. These consultations have concluded that traditional tutoring cannot work. Well, at least not alone. With the newly introduced access to your online classes and recordings, it gives us at Hypr Academics more reason to encourage you to attend your lectures and watch recordings, as the University of the West Indies remains the #1 authority on content for your exams. Therefore, here is the formula that we have devised. We've developed the Hypr community, a learning platform like never seen before in these parts, bringing together the convenience and familiarity of social media and a powerful learning management system. This platform will see students networking with consultants, residents, other doctors, other professionals, and other students from across the region. Students will all have free access to groups and forums dedicated to various courses, all semester long. We have collaborated with a team of medical students and doctors to source and create academic content specific to the UWI syllabus, which we will deliver via our Hypr videos. We expect that these videos will bridge the gap that exists with other such offerings that do not hit the nail right on the head where the UWI syllabus and Caribbean epidemiological data are concerned. These videos will be synchronized with review quizzes, exam simulations, and textual information and reference materials to set you on the right track to success. As you do this, links will direct you to groups and forums where discussions will ensue on core topics, except that it will foster 24-hour access to clarification from members and not be limited to the boundaries of a 2-hour paid tutorial. Each week, we will facilitate 2 sessions. But wait, did I not say that we will not be tutoring this year? Well, as part of our renewed approach, these 2 sessions a week will cover high-yield content and topics or aspects of topics that you have issues with. Therefore, each week, students will have the opportunity to tell us exactly what they want to gain from these sessions. Isn't that amazing? Essentially, Hypr Academics is prepared to be that 24 hours, 7 days, 12 months companion on your academic journey. We will provide you with tips, academic counseling, follow up on your study progress, and help you maintain that focus as you grapple, like us, with the realities of the COVID-19 pandemic. We have established a medical podcast where we hope to connect, educate, entertain, and advocate. We encourage you to listen on all podcast platforms as well as on our website, as we have exciting things in store for you. We have no doubt that this year will be a rewarding one for you. And with us, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Join the Hypr community at www.hyprcommunity.com. Follow us on social media at Hypr Academics and let us help you succeed. After all, your success is our mission. So guys, you heard from, well, me a while ago, and I'm going to elaborate just briefly on some of the points that were mentioned in this video. But first, we want you to hear a short clip from two students not affiliated with Hypr Academics, who are just sharing about their experience in this semester last year. So let's just turn to that briefly, and then we come back to wrap up. Okay.
Hi guys, I'm Brianna, a second-year medical student. First of all, I'd really like to congratulate you and welcome you to medical school here at UWI Mona. It's your first year, and I understand that, sometimes there's a lot of fear and anxiety that comes with that. However, I've been through it, and I'm ready to share all my tips and tricks with you. So first year, my greatest advice to you guys is to start early. Medical school can be very overwhelming at first with the boatloads of information that you are hit with. And honestly, it's a lot. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Medical school, you'll never see this amount of information before in your life. However, if you tackle it in bite-sized pieces, trust me, you will absorb that information and you will remember it.
Hey guys, I'm Ashley. So today I'm here to talk to you about how I overcame my first semester of medical school. Firstly, relax and breathe. I know this is a new experience and you've heard stories from a lot of students that have made you a bit scared, but see this new experience as an obstacle you really want to overcome and do this at your own pace and to the best of your abilities. Secondly, I know that the workload is heavy and some subjects like anatomy might be scaring you, but put the equal amount of effort in all courses at all times. Also, schedule time to study. Create a schedule for yourself so you can keep track of everything. And always remember to pre-read, post-read, and if you don't understand something, watch a video about it. I know that you might be in class and you might not know how to answer a question, but all hope is not lost. Try to be able to answer the question when the exam comes. So watch videos, do as much studying as you need. But most importantly, find time to take a break. Always take a break. You won't be at your full potential if you're not mentally okay. So do something as simple as watch TV. Do something that makes you happy, that makes you calm. And finally, for my study group, I know that online it's really hard to make friends.
Okay, guys. So just having a little technical difficulty. It stopped in the middle, but that's okay because what we're gonna do is immediately after this session, we're going to share the voice notes from the students. Because, for example, the first voice note with Brianna, she had about 2 or 3 more minutes of nuggets of wisdom, and it's just because of the time constraints that we did not play everything. But we're gonna send it in the WhatsApp group. So remember, if you are not in the WhatsApp group, look out for the link. I'm going to send it in your class group so you can join, where we'll send the voice note, both of Brianna and the last one of Miss Ashley Meadows. So without further ado, we're going to go in to the other aspect, where basically I just speak to you a little more about the Hypr formula. So as you heard in the video, Hypr Academics is doing something that no one else is doing. We are doing something that is creative. We are doing something that meets you where you are in this pandemic setting. We cannot stress enough the fact that the University of the West Indies is your #1 source of information and content for your semester. Don't let anybody, any other group, anybody at all tell you that their content is more important and you must study their content and don't study UWI's content. At the end of the day, UWI is the one who is examining you. And that is what we want to stress at Hypr. Attend your online lectures. If it is you cannot attend it live, watch the recordings, because all that Hypr Academic has to offer is supplement to that which you get in class. There are limitations with your lectures. You may not be able to ask as many questions as you want based on your schedule and the tight space of time within which one lecturer has to use to deliver his or her content. There are a lot of limitations, the kind of one-on-one attention that some of us might need to ensure that we understand concepts. You may not be able to get that in your lectures, and that is okay. That's just how it is. But that's why Hypr is here. And we have this evening your 3 tutors who are excellent individuals who are excited. They want to see you learn. They want to see you prosper. And so they are committed to utilizing the Hypr community, which, as the video said, is free. The Hypr community and its resources in terms of its forums, its groups, and its discussions are all free for you to access. And our tutors will be there to answer your questions in our WhatsApp group chats. The tutors will be there. The tutors will be willing to answer your questions whenever they come. But as you heard, our formula basically is that we have Hypr videos which have been prepared by people who have been in your shoes. They have gone into depth with the different contents, different high-yield topics that you can watch at your own time. If you want to watch that 3 a.m., sure. If you want to watch that 3 p.m., sure. You have the opportunity to do that. At the end of these videos, there will be question banks on that topic that you can use to ensure that you picked up on the most salient point of these Hypr videos. And when you've done these Hypr videos, right, there might still be things that are unclear. You might still read some other resource and it might be a little unclear because it's a new concept. But why worry? You don't have to worry, because Hypr Academics has Hypr review sessions. And every week there will be at least one Hypr review. There must be at least one Hypr review session for some topic. And you'll see when you subscribe to our calendar, you will see the dates. I'm gonna project in a second the dates for the rest of the month of the Hypr videos, right? And when you do that, you have the opportunity now to come to the session. The session is not going to be based on teaching. It's going to stress on whatever the high yield things are. But one of the important things about the Hypr review sessions is that, listen, there is no better time to start practicing questions. No, you have to start practice questions from day one, right? And so the review sessions, what it will do, it will give you the opportunity to tell your tutors from before, yo, you're doing pathology of the spleen, and I did not understand how it is that the spleen disposes of red blood cells. That is, if the spleen does that. Don't quote me, right? And so the tutor now can come prepared to that session to focus on the areas that are still cloudy after you've watched these videos. But not only that, the tutors will bring with them questions that are formulated in the likeness of how your actual exams are going to come, right? And that will help you to solidify the content from earlier on in the semester. And then we have Hypr papers. Hypr papers involve a collection of questions, past paper questions that are publicly available in the domain. But the difference between Hypr papers and just picking up any past paper is that what we have done at Hypr is that we have gone through the questions. We have put on the system what the correct answers are. We have put on the system explanations for why the answers might be correct and why the answers might be wrong, right? And what it does is that it allows you to create a simulation of an exam environment. You can sit down and you can pull up your Hypr paper and tell yourself, okay, I studied pathology of the spleen. Let's see how much of these 10 questions I can get correct. You do it and you get 5 questions correct. That's okay. The best place for you to get answers wrong is at your home on your computer when it is not an actual exam. But then when you're reviewing the answers now, you'll be able to see why you got the answers wrong. You will see explanations for why the wrong answers are wrong, and why the right answer is right. And so I always believe one of the best ways for you to actually learn is to make a mistake, right? Make a mistake and feel bad and feel embarrassed, because that is going to motivate you to ensure that you remember, because you don't want to be embarrassed, whether it is with yourself or publicly with your friends. You don't want to have that embarrassing feeling. I'm sure many of you can think of at least one moment in life that you were embarrassed and you will never forget it. So the best thing I can tell you, be embarrassed, get shamed in yourself. No, I'm not telling you to be hard on yourself or anything. No. I'm not telling you to call yourself a dunce battle. No, you are intelligent, but it's just that you have not necessarily gotten the hang of medical school just yet, or the particular course. And that's okay. That's okay. The best place for you to do it is right here on your computer and with Hypr Academics. And then at the end of the semester, we will have crash courses. We're going to say, okay, now is time. Now is the time where you need to just get certain things that you did not get this semester, get it down, and we have these high yield sessions just before your exam. So just before I go into what is the most important thing for most people want to know, well, boy, Hypr Academics sounds sweet. Hypr Academics sound nice. It sounds like I need Hypr Academics, but how much is Hypr Academics going to cost? Is Hypr Academics going to blow my pocket? Well, the answer to that is a big fat no. But on your screen, you're going to see the schedule for this month, and every month we're going to release the list of sessions, when they will be happening, what time they will be happening, and once you subscribe to the calendar, you will receive an email the day before every session, so you can remember. Okay, so what you will see here is that this week we are on the 12th, and on Saturday there's the first session on spermatogenesis and spermiogenesis. Now that session is going to be free. Don't bother about it. Basically, your first session for each of the courses, maybe even the first 2 sessions, I think we might be nice to you. We might be very nice. I think we are reasonable people. As reasonable people, we're going to give you as much opportunity to engage with the content of Hypr Academics, so that you can know whether this is something that you want. As early as tomorrow, some Hypr videos will be on the system, and we will do a video explaining how to use the Hypr community, and these videos will be available free of cost for you to utilize. Now is the best time to take advantage of what Hypr Academics has to offer, because now things are just freeness agure, right? So that's basically that. Okay, and now the last thing I want us to look at before we just open the floor briefly to see if it is that any of the tutors want to mention anything specific about the course, and then we wrap up. We have the second session for year 2 at 6 o'clock. The next thing I want to show us is the pricing mechanism. Boy, look at all this. This looks confusing, but no, sisters and brothers, this is not confusing at all. So let me say the first thing I want to say is that Hypr Academics is moving towards a US-based system, right? Before we were on a Jamaican dollar-based system. We decided to move to a US-based system for obvious reasons. Now, I know some of us have PTSD because we are charged in the US and it causing a whole heap of havoc. But don't worry, Hypr Academics is not about that life. The only reason we're moving towards a US-based system is to bolster our internal financial structure. And that's why we have put together a policy. But we have done things to ensure that we can incentivize the payment in US dollars. And what we have done is that for every single package that you do, the US dollar price is always going to be cheaper than Jamaican dollars, right? So for example, if it is $10 right now about the rate, that is equal to about $1,500 Jamaican. When you pay in US, it's always it might be around 8 US or 9. It's always going to be less than the Jamaican dollar amount. Okay, so we encourage you. We have a payment gateway. We have different options for you to pay. We did not go into that. We're not going to go into that in this session because we can put all of this in a document that is going to be released in the midweek, which is going to tell you how you can pay. We have a secured payment platform that is secured by Surgical Bank Jamaica, one of the leading banks in Jamaica. So you can trust it. You get opportunities to pay either in Jamaican or US dollars. And I just explained how we incentivize, how we plan to incentivize you to pay in US dollars. But this is the pricing structure. So you know that we're offering 3 courses, right? You can choose to either take 1 course, 2 courses, or all courses. Now, one of the things that is very important for us to understand is that this semester, for the first time, and we are the only one doing this, Hypr is actually offering students a monthly option, a monthly subscription option. And that monthly, the monthly subscription option is, we have breakdown, we have broken down the semester into 3 months, right? About 3 months. So you can opt to pay in monthly payments, or you can pay for everything one time. And when you pay for everything one time, there's a discount that I'm going to explain and you're going to see. So what you can do, you can decide that, okay, I'm going to take the Hypr videos, which is the asynchronous videos I can watch at any time. And I'm going to also take the Hypr review sessions where I can go and get my anything that is unclear for me. I can go and I can get that clarified. Or you can say, okay, I'll take the Hypr videos and the Hypr papers. Or you can say, okay, I'll take the review sessions because, you know, I don't really need the videos. And then I can also take the Hypr papers. So we've offered you the opportunity to basically build whatever you want. And if it is you want any of those singly by themselves, you can get them by themselves. And by the middle of the week, we will publish an outline of exactly what all the pricing is. But this is not very important now, because for the first 2 weeks, everything is going to be free of cost for you to assess. But what you'll realize, for example, let us say, for example, you want to take everything, Hypr videos, Hypr review sessions, and you want to do that for 1 course, right? You can make a single payment of $25.50. $25.50 US alone gets you everything for FDT, or if it is MolMed, or if it is Embryology. So you can pay that one, or you can pay 3 monthly payments of $11.25 US, and you can see the Jamaican equivalent. And remember, we've always said, and we will always have it, we will always adjust our system to ensure that at all times it's going to cost you less to pay in US. And what you'll realize is that as you increase, let's say you put on another course, your second course, the price per course is going to go down. So for example, if you were going to take everything, but for 2 courses, Embryology and Molecular Medicine, that will be only $40 US. And so you can see that you make a savings of over $11 US already, than if it is you were to take 1, right? And then you have the monthly options. And then as you can see, we go down as you go to all the courses. It gets even cheaper, right? Now, don't worry about that now. You can take a screenshot. You can ruminate on it. If you have questions, you can always ask, and we will clarify, right? But everything is going to be very clear for you in a brochure that will be released sometime in the middle of the week, right? I know we have a question and answer segment, but I know someone was going to ask about scholarships. Yes, Hypr Academics always offers scholarships. Hypr Academics, we always say, and we mean it, we literally care more about you understanding the content and you acing your exam than we actually care about the money. It does mean that we will offer scholarships, and you will hear more about that. We'll offer 1 or 2 scholarships per year, but also when persons have financial difficulty, Hypr Academics works with them. If it is that our payment plans don't work for you, that's okay. We are willing to hold your hand and help you across the finish line, right? So just think of us as your friend. You can approach us at any time, and we'll be more than happy to help you. So without further ado, and we are running over time, we need to end in 5 minutes. I'm just gonna bring on our tutors and just say, guys, is there anything you want to leave with our students today? Is there anything you want to tell us about how you plan to approach your course for the semester? Let's start with you, Kyra. Anything you want to say?
Okay, so for molecular medicine and for FDT, what Simon and I really plan to do is to ensure that the students understand the concept. We're all about active learning. We're not about passive learning. So we're going to be going through some questions, some past paper questions with you for an hour and a half max, ensuring that you understand the heavily tested concepts and topics.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Xavier, anything you want to share with us?
Yeah, definitely. So as you guys know, I'm a senior tutor here. I'll be tutoring embryology for you guys. I've helped 50 plus, 100 plus students over the past couple semesters I've been tutoring. I'm going to make you share these exams. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. And Simon Scully, I know earlier on you did mention some stuff about how you want to go, but any final words you want to leave with us?
Yes. Guys, please start early. Start early. Get a head start on this year. Sign up for the Hypr sessions. You won't be dissatisfied. You'll get tons of questions. We'll show you tons of diagrams. We all have iPads. We're going to be drawing tons of diagrams, explaining things in all the classes. You won't leave confused. I promise you, it won't be. You won't feel like you wasted your money.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Simon. So we're just going to go quickly in the next 3 minutes before we wrap up to answer some questions that were asked. So one of the questions that were asked, and that is to Xavier, that was from Marika, who said, Xavier, when you stated that the fine details such as dates come on the test, and she's referring to embryology, what exactly did you mean?
Okay, so very quickly, this book has a number of dates, right? And that's why it is that I've been emphasizing that you need to start this early. So your first goal, Marika, is that you need to understand this book first of all. Don't focus on the dates. That's swatting, right? The next read, when it is that you're preparing for your exam, that's when it is that you try and catch the different dates. So your main focus right now is not to catch the dates, it's to understand the progression, and then you move on to the dates afterwards. And that just comes with luck, to be honest. Just reading the book and going in and doing the exam the second time.
Thank you so very much, Marika, for your question, and thank you very much, Xavier, for your answer. This question comes to us from Demel Russell, and yes, Demel was asking, do we get a lot of work for this program, or is it just heavy on reading? I want to ask Kyra to answer. Do we get a lot of work in this medicine program, or is it just heavy reading, or is it both?
I agree. It is a lot of work, but I do think that it's not just heavy on the reading. You have to ensure that you understand the content. You don't want to swat. So it's a lot of work, but you have to balance it by ensuring that you understand the content, you read, you watch videos, you use as much visual learning methods that you can access so that you can understand certain things and approach different course in a different way, ensuring that for anatomy, you use your 3D anatomy app. You have to also ensure that you do read, but you also have different resources.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Kyra. The next question was from Seyage. I'm so sorry if I pronounce Sege or Sige. I'm so sorry. Ambersley. Sorry if I pronounce your name incorrectly. And they were asking if we could get if they could get the US slides to pre-read, and that answer was already given in the chat. And we're saying yes, you can always ask the tutor for the slides. And the last question we're going to touch on for the evening is from Grace. Grace asked the question. Grace asked the question: free, as in fully free for the Hypr community, and I get full experience? Please tell me yes. Grace, as we mentioned, the access to the website and its forums and its discussions and everything, all of that will be free. And in your participation on the website, you will get Hypr credits and so forth that you will be able to utilize to convert into actual credit that can be used to purchase things on the web that we offer. All of that will be explained at a later date. But definitely, I also noticed later on where you say, please consider me for a scholarship. Definitely apply for the scholarship. We have an independent process under which these selections will be made, and you can only hope and pray that you will be successful. So with that said, everybody, we just want to thank you so much for joining us. I think we had a good time this afternoon. We expressed a wealth of information, but we could have gone on and on and on and on because there's so much about Hypr to tell you. But we know you need to get to studying, and we don't want to bore you. But remember, we are just a message away. We are just a message away. And there was a last question where someone was asking, what is Hypr papers? We did explain it earlier on, and we'll be happy to explain it again later. But just by summary, Hypr papers is a product where Hypr Academics has taken papers that are publicly available in the public domain, and we've put it onto a system that allows you to sit the exam, sit the past paper, and get full feedback on why answers are correct and why answers are wrong at the end. So that will definitely be towards your benefit. So with that said, everybody, on behalf of the Board of Management, again, the administrative team, and everybody here at Hypr Academics, all of our tutors, etc., to thank you very much for coming, and we look forward to working with you. We will send the link to the group in your chat. You can always invite your friends to look at this video, and it will always be available so that if at any time you forget, it's right there for you. So have a wonderful evening, everybody.